I'm back from holiday, and I thought I'd share it with you. This channel has strayed away from my personal life, mostly because I have none, but also because the more I do YouTube, the less I like to hear me talking about myself. I like for my videos to be about things that either help or educate other people, but having stalked other YouTubers online from time to time, I do understand the appeal of looking behind the scenes and trying to imagine what their life is like. So I present to you my Lake District holiday. I went with my girlfriend, who I'll respect the privacy of by not showing in this video. We went last year, and I think it's worth talking about how that one went before starting on this year's holiday. Last year, we started with the Fairfield Horseshoe, being told that it was a nice easy one to begin with. It wasn't. It's over 10 miles long, and although the mountain itself is only 873 metres tall, you go up and down several bits, so in total you actually climb further than you would with Scafell Pike, England's tallest mountain. Also, we didn't stop for a break because I was worried that the weather was getting worse, and sure enough, arriving back at the car, I looked back at Fairfield and it was shrouded in thick cloud. It wasn't a fun walk. Plus, despite it being a cloudy day, we got horribly sunburnt since that happens more easily up mountains, and it crippled my girlfriend for the rest of the holiday, and it kind of ruined all of the other walks that we did. Fun fact, in my Skyrim video I measured the throat of the world and concluded that it was 766 metres tall, which was the same height as Great Rig, which happens to be part of Fairfield, but I didn't realise that at the time. I can certainly say that although it looks like an obese hill, climbing it has given me a new respect for it, and it certainly feels taller than it does to climb a mountain in Skyrim. Anyway, that was last year. This year we warmed up with some easy stuff. We started with an 8-mile walk around a lake at the foot of Helvellyn, England's second tallest mountain. It's the one with the famous section known as Striding Edge, where you have to walk along the top of it, 1,000-foot drops either side. Pictures and video fail to show scale or how steep things are, and while it's a popular route that many people attempt, I personally don't like that kind of thing. We also climbed Catbells, which is under half the height of Helvellyn at just 451 metres tall. As a child I was obsessed with mountains, ranking them on their height, believing bigger to be better, but size isn't everything. In fact, beyond a certain level it gets cold, rocky and miserable, and you get so far away from everything else that you stop appreciating how high up you are. Catbells is a great example of a nice mountain. It's not that big, but it's in an excellent location. You get good views, you have a bit of a scramble as you approach the summit, and it only takes about half an hour to climb. Even a basement dweller could conquer this one. It's one of our favourites, but being the way it is, you have a long boring walk along the road to get back to the car at the end. The Langdale Pikes are great, and I've climbed them a number of times. As a child I remember there was an aggressive wasp that chased us all the way up. We made excellent time. I juggled at the top of them in 2012, and although they're not the tallest at 736 metres, they're in a central location and can be seen from pretty much everywhere in the Lake District, plus they look most like a mountain. I did these walks from memory, and I almost always take the wrong path down. Luckily I figure it out in time, but looking back at some of the routes I've tried taking make me think, ooh. In case you didn't know, I'm scared of heights. Roller coasters are fine. Glass floors? Fun. I've walked many coast paths and I love views from the tops of mountains, but there's something about a big drop that changes my perspective. As an example, I have no problem walking along a pavement. I don't fear that I'm going to randomly stumble and fall into the road at any point. I've never done that. But replace the road with a bottomless pit, and I would change. I would start walking weird, arms leaning as far away from it as I could. It doesn't matter if I could do the route 1,000 times without a problem. I just don't like the idea that I might die if it goes wrong. Oddly enough, I'm fine with heights that would maim me for life. It's just the bigger drops that make me turn to jelly. Striding Edge I could probably do. If it was a 2-metre drop either side, I'd probably want to do it for fun. But it's the idea that I might get stuck at a point and have to head back the way I came. Plus I know that climbing back down is always harder than getting up it in the first place. Luckily for me, I'm good at avoiding the routes that would give me problems. But one caught me out this holiday. One day we had already climbed a mountain, so we were looking for a nice easy walk for the afternoon, and we chose one that starts at a picturesque village called Borrowdale and then leads off into the woods and around Castle Crag. Castle Crag is the smallest peak in the Lake District that Wainwright considers a mountain. It's only 290 metres above sea level. The ominous feeling started when we were in a valley between it and a larger mountain, and I suggested we checked it out. You don't want to climb these scree slopes. Not only would they be extremely uncomfortable to fall down, but I imagine they're pretty unstable and you could trigger a mini avalanche of sorts. It started off okay, with a steep but well-defined path leading to the top, but just before the top is a slate mound that you have to climb. Some mad lads have actually built a path out of it. I don't know how it's still standing, honestly. It looks like it will all come tumbling down if you take one of the rocks out from it. And although there is a path, it's the gritty, loose type. and there's nothing to hold on to, and nothing between the path itself and the long drop. If you slip, you're going down the side of this thing. I got up it, but spent my time on Castle Crag fearing the descent and looking for another way down, before accepting that there wasn't one, and that I would have to go back down the same way if I wanted to continue with my life. I'm sure the average YouTube commenter would have found it easy, but honestly, pictures and video really don't do this justice either, and I sure as hell wasn't going to be filming it as I was going down. But here's a picture that I found online. Imagine a steep, gritty slope where every step you take kind of slips a bit, and you know that if you slip too much, then there's nothing stopping you from falling right off the side. To be honest, shuffling down it on my arse wasn't too bad, and I shamelessly grabbed anything that didn't come loose in my hands. By the time it was over, I even started to enjoy it. Oh, and we climbed Scafell Pike, England's tallest mountain. The proper way of doing it is a much longer route, and I believe a lot scarier. We chose to do it the tourist way, which means driving for an hour and a half to get around to the other side of it. Along the way is Hard Knot Pass, England's steepest road. If you want to be disappointed, then look up videos of it online. But just imagine a road so steep that you're practically lying on the back of your seat and are expecting the front wheels to come off the road and for the car to flip backwards at any moment. It's quite an adventure. Also, I think I've lost my girlfriend's trust, because when discussing what to do if the brakes failed, I said I'd plough the car into the nearest wall. She then suggested that I tried the handbrake first. And here it is, Scafell and Scafell Pike, the tallest peaks in England, next to the deepest lake in England. It was a great moment for me. All of these large mountains like Great Gable and Pillar I normally only see in the distant skybox, but to see them up close was like concluding something that I started decades ago, to finally put a mountain to a name. The climb took 2 hours, though we did stop a few times for water and sweets. The weather was hot. By this point I was used to being slimy from sun cream and so sweaty my clothing felt like damp flannels. I know it's already been said, but pictures and video fail to do this mountain justice. That rock bit at the top may look like a standard old cliff, but zoom in far enough to see the people climbing it and it puts the scale into perspective. I heard from a few people descending it that it gets steep and slippery towards the top, and feared it would involve climbing a scree slope. But actually it was one of the easier mountains to climb, the top being pretty much a field full of rocks. At no point did I feel like I could have plummeted to my death. A bit disappointing really. Even at the top it was warm and there wasn't a breeze. Must have been the best day of the year to be up there. Oh, and then for lols on the last day we climbed Helvellyn, England's second tallest mountain. The weather was colder and windier, and it looked like a storm was brewing. But it all went okay and I got to see Striding Edge, as well as Great Rig. Top Helvellyn, and over there is Fairfield. And that's an important one because the next one along, the smaller looking one, is Great Rig, which is the same height as the tallest mountain in Skyrim. This one's better. So yeah, I've had a lovely, peaceful, relaxing holiday. I've got a bit of a tan, and I'm now working hard to get some videos done before heading off to Cologne later in the week.